What would you do if you had millions of dollars sitting in your bank account? Would you buy fancy cars, live in a massive mansion, or maybe just relax on a beach somewhere? Well, today we're diving deep into the incredible life of one of the richest gold miners on television. We're talking about Tony Beets, the tough-talking, no-nonsense mining legend from the hit show Gold Rush. This guy went from having absolutely nothing to building an empire worth tens of millions of dollars. And trust me, his story is going to blow your mind. So buckle up, because we're about to explore how this Dutch immigrant became one of the wealthiest miners in North America and what his luxurious lifestyle really looks like behind the cameras. Let's start at the very beginning, because Tony Beets didn't just wake up rich one day. His story is actually super inspiring. Tony was born in the Netherlands back in December 1959. That's right, he's not even originally from North America. He grew up in a regular family, nothing fancy or special about it. His parents weren't wealthy business owners or anything like that. They were just everyday people trying to make ends meet. When Tony was a young man, probably around your age when you start thinking about your future, he made a huge decision that would change his entire life. He decided to leave everything he knew behind and move to Canada. Can you imagine that? Packing your bags, leaving your family and friends, and heading to a completely new country where you don't know anyone? That takes serious courage. When Tony first arrived in Canada, he was basically broke. He didn't have millions in the bank or a fancy education from some expensive university. What he did have was something way more valuable, though. He had an incredible work ethic and a burning desire to succeed no matter what it took. Tony started doing construction work, which meant long hours of hard physical labor under the hot sun or freezing cold weather. It wasn't glamorous at all. He was just another worker trying to earn enough money to survive. But Tony wasn't the type of guy to settle for just getting by. He wanted more out of life, and he was willing to work harder than anyone else to get it. After spending several years in construction, something magical happened. Tony discovered gold mining, and let me tell you, it was like he found his true calling in life. He moved up to the Yukon Territory in Canada, which is way up north where it gets incredibly cold and harsh. Most people would take one look at that frozen landscape and run back home, but not Tony. He saw opportunity where others saw only difficulty. He started working in the gold mining industry, learning everything he possibly could about finding gold, running equipment, and managing mining operations. He wasn't just some guy showing up to collect a paycheck. Tony was obsessed with understanding every single detail of the mining business. Now here's where things get really interesting. Tony didn't just want to work for someone else forever. He had bigger dreams than that. So he saved up every penny he could, made smart decisions with his money, and eventually started buying his own mining claims. A mining claim is basically a piece of land where you have the legal right to search for and extract gold. Tony started small, but he kept reinvesting everything he earned back into his business. When other people might have spent their money on fancy toys or expensive vacations, Tony was buying more equipment, more land, and building his mining empire piece by piece. Fast forward to today, and Tony Beets is estimated to be worth somewhere between $15 and $25 million. Yeah, you heard that right. Millions of dollars. Some sources even suggest his net worth could be as high as $30 million. That's an absolutely insane amount of money, especially when you remember that this guy started with literally nothing in his pockets when he first came to Canada. But here's what makes Tony's story even more amazing. He didn't make his fortune by getting lucky or winning the lottery. He earned every single dollar through decades of incredibly hard work, smart business decisions, and never giving up even when things got tough. So what does Tony actually do with all that money? Well, this is where his lifestyle gets really interesting. Unlike some rich people who love showing off their wealth with flashy cars and designer clothes, Tony is actually pretty down to earth in a lot of ways. He's not the type of guy you'll see walking around in expensive suits or showing off on social media. But make no mistake, he definitely enjoys the fruits of his labor, and his life is far from ordinary. Let's talk about his mining operation first, because that's where Tony spends most of his time and money. Tony doesn't just own one small mine. He runs one of the largest gold mining operations in the Klondike region. We're talking about multiple mining claims spread across thousands of acres of land. He owns massive pieces of equipment that cost hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars each. Huge excavators, enormous wash plants, bulldozers, trucks, and all sorts of specialized mining machinery. Running an operation this size isn't cheap. Tony probably spends millions of dollars every single year just on fuel, maintenance, repairs, and paying his crew members. But here's the thing. When you're pulling out millions of dollars worth of gold from the ground every season, those expenses are totally worth it. One of the coolest things Tony owns is a massive dredge. Now, if you don't know what a dredge is, let me explain. It's basically a huge floating mining machine that sits in the water and scoops up material from the riverbed to process it for gold. Tony actually bought an old historic dredge and spent years and tons of money restoring it to working condition. This wasn't just any small project either. The dredge is absolutely enormous, like several stories tall. Getting it operational again required an incredible amount of time, money, and expertise. Some people thought Tony was crazy for taking on such a massive project, but he proved everyone wrong. That dredge has become one of his most valuable assets and has helped him pull out huge amounts of gold. Now let's talk about where Tony actually lives, because his home situation might surprise you. During the mining season, which runs through the warmer months when the ground isn't completely frozen, Tony basically lives right there at his mining site. He's not staying in some 5-star hotel or fancy lodge. He's living in pretty basic accommodations because he wants to be close to his operation at all times. Tony is super hands-on with his business. He's out there every single day, overseeing the work, making decisions, fixing problems, and making sure everything runs smoothly. He doesn't sit in some comfortable office far away from the action. That's just not his style. But when the mining season ends and winter comes, Tony heads back to his home in Arizona. That's right. After spending months in the freezing cold Yukon, he escapes to the warm sunshine of the American Southwest. His Arizona property is where he and his wife Minnie spend their winters, and it's definitely a nice place. While Tony isn't the type to live in some crazy mega mansion with gold-plated toilets or anything ridiculous like that, his home is comfortable, spacious, and located in a beautiful area. It's the kind of place where you can relax and enjoy life after working incredibly hard for months up north. Speaking of his wife Minnie, she's been by Tony's side through this entire journey. They've been married for decades, and she's not just some trophy wife sitting around spending his money. Minnie is actually heavily involved in the mining business, too. She helps manage the operation, handles a lot of the business side of things, and has been working alongside Tony for years. Together, they've built this empire as a team, and their relationship is actually pretty inspiring. They've raised a family together, too, and several of their kids have gotten involved in the mining business as well. Tony and Minnie have multiple children, and if you watch Gold Rush, you've probably seen some of them on the show. Their kids have grown up around the mining industry, learning the business from their parents. Some of them work directly for Tony's mining company, operating equipment, and helping manage different aspects of the operation. Tony has been passing down his knowledge and experience to the next generation, which means the Beets family mining empire will probably continue for years to come. That's pretty cool when you think about it. Tony is building a legacy that will last long after he's gone. Now, let's talk about the money Tony makes from the Discovery Channel show Gold Rush. Being on one of the most popular reality shows on television definitely pays well. While the exact numbers aren't public, it's estimated that the main cast members of Gold Rush make anywhere from $25,000 to $50,000 per episode. Some sources suggest that the biggest stars, which definitely includes Tony, might make even more than that. When you consider that each season has multiple episodes, you're looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars just from being on the show. And Gold Rush has been on the air for many seasons now, so Tony has earned a very nice chunk of change just from his television appearances. But here's the thing you need to understand. The money Tony makes from the TV show is honestly just a small fraction of his overall wealth. His real fortune comes from the gold itself. During a good season, Tony's operation can pull out gold worth several $1 million. In some of his best seasons, he's found gold worth over $5 million. Can you even imagine that? Most people will never see that much money in their entire lifetime, and Tony is pulling out of the ground in just a few months of work. Of course, He has huge expenses to pay for running such a large operation, but even after paying for everything, he's still making a very healthy profit. Tony is also smart with his money when it comes to investments and business decisions. He doesn't just blow his fortune on silly things. He reinvests in his business, buys more equipment, acquires more mining claims, and constantly looks for ways to expand and improve his operation. This is how rich people stay rich and actually get richer over time. They don't just earn money and spend it all. They use their money to make even more money. Tony has mastered this concept, and it's a big part of why his net worth keeps growing year after year. But Tony does enjoy some luxuries, even if he's not super flashy about it. For someone who spends months every year working in harsh conditions, getting dirty, and dealing with all the challenges that come with gold mining, he's definitely earned the right to enjoy some nice things. He owns nice vehicles, though you won't see him driving around in some crazy expensive sports car. That's just not practical for someone who spends so much time on rough mining sites. He has good quality trucks and equipment that are built to last and can handle tough conditions. That's more Tony's style. One of the things Tony seems to enjoy most is the freedom that his wealth provides. He doesn't have to answer to anyone else. He's his own boss. He makes his own decisions about when to work, how to run his business, and what projects to take on. That kind of freedom is something that money can definitely buy, and it's probably one of the most valuable aspects of Tony's success. He's not stuck in some boring office job or working for someone who doesn't appreciate him. He's built something that's entirely his own, and that's incredibly powerful. Tony is also known for being pretty generous with his crew members. While he has a reputation for being tough and demanding on the show, he also pays his workers well and gives bonuses when they hit their goal targets. Mining is hard, dangerous work, and Tony understands that keeping good employees means treating them fairly. He's built a loyal crew over the years, with many people working for him season after season. That doesn't happen if you're a terrible boss who doesn't take care of your people. Another interesting aspect of Tony's lifestyle is his personality and attitude toward life. Even though he's worth millions, he hasn't lost the tough, no-nonsense attitude that helped him succeed in the first place. He's still the same hard-working, straight-talking guy he's always been. He doesn't put on airs or pretend to be something he's not. On Gold Rush, you see him get his hands dirty, fixing machinery, and dealing with problems head-on. That authenticity is part of what makes him so popular with fans. People respect the fact that he earned everything he has through genuine hard work and determination. Tony also has a pretty great sense of humor, even though he comes across as grumpy sometimes on the show. He likes to joke around with his crew and doesn't take himself too seriously despite his success. That ability to stay grounded and not let wealth and fame go to your head is actually pretty rare. A lot of people who become rich and famous start acting differently and forget where they came from. Tony hasn't done that. He's still the same person at his core, just with a much bigger bank account than when he started. The Beets family has also become somewhat famous beyond just the mining world thanks to Gold Rush. They have fans all over the world who follow their story and root for their success. Tony's distinctive accent, his famous sayings, and his larger-than-life personality have made him one of the most memorable characters on the entire show. This fame has opened up additional opportunities, like appearances, merchandise, and other ventures that add to the family's income and overall brand. Looking at Tony's life from beginning to end, it's really an incredible success story. Here's a guy who started with nothing, moved to a foreign country, worked his way up from the bottom, took huge risks, worked harder than almost anyone else, and built a multi-million-dollar empire. He's living proof that the American dream, or in this case the Canadian dream, is still possible if you're willing to put in the effort. His story should inspire anyone who feels stuck or thinks they can't achieve great things because of where they started in life. But Tony's lifestyle isn't just about the money and the gold. It's about the satisfaction of building something meaningful, the joy of working hard at something you're passionate about, and the freedom to live life on your own terms. Sure, the millions of dollars are nice, and being able to afford a comfortable life is definitely a huge benefit of his success. But if you watch Tony on Gold Rush, you can tell that he genuinely loves what he does. He loves the challenge of mining, the thrill of finding gold, the problem-solving that comes with running a big operation, and the pride of building a family legacy. As Tony gets older, He's also started thinking more about the future and what happens next. He's been training his children to take over different aspects of the business. He's setting up systems and structures that will allow the operation to continue successfully even when he decides to slow down or eventually retire. That kind of long-term thinking is what separates truly successful people from those who just make money and spend it without planning for future. Tony Beets has created a lifestyle that combines hard work with significant rewards, challenging conditions with comfortable winters, and business success with family involvement. His life isn't perfect, and mining definitely has its problems and frustrations, as anyone who watches Gold Rush can see. But overall, Tony has built something pretty amazing. He's achieved a level of success and wealth that most people only dream about, and he did it through determination, smart decisions, and an unwillingness to give up when things got hard. So there you have it. The rich and luxurious lifestyle of Tony Beets is a fascinating mix of hard work, smart business moves, family involvement, and well-deserved rewards. From his humble beginnings in the Netherlands to becoming a multi-millionaire gold mining legend in North America, Tony's journey is truly inspiring. He proves that with enough determination, hard work, and smart decisions, you can build an incredible life for yourself and your family, no matter where you start from. If you enjoyed learning about Tony Beets and his amazing success story, do me a huge favor and smash that like button right now. It really helps the channel grow and lets me know you want to see more content like this. And hey, if you're not already subscribed, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss another video. We got tons of amazing content coming your way about other celebrities, successful people, and fascinating lifestyles. Share this video with your friends and family who love Gold Rush, or anyone who needs some inspiration about building success from nothing. Drop a comment below and let me know what you think about Tony's story and who else you'd like to see featured on the channel. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.